Hello and a very warm welcome to your Co-op Live, our Christmas Remembrance. My name is Lynn and I'm one of the funeral coordinators for the East of England Co-op, and I'll be your host for this evening's event. For many years now, the East of England Co-op Funeral Services has run memorial events and carol concerts to help offer those who have lost someone a place to come together and remember those no longer with us. Tonight is the third time we've hosted a virtual remembrance event. And whilst we aren't together in person, we hope that it will bring you some comfort this Christmas. We're broadcasting to you from the beautiful surroundings of Snape Maltings near the Suffolk coast. I'm joined tonight by my colleague Sally Blundell from the Funeral Services team and Charlie Green from Suffolk Mind. We'll also have some festive musical performances from our very own co-op band. Remembering a loved one is a very personal thing. There's no set way you have to do it. So tonight we'll be discussing the different ways in which people choose to remember their loved ones. I know many of you shared the name of someone special you'd like to remember when registering for tonight's event. And we'll be showing those names throughout this evening's musical performances and during a moment of reflection towards the end of tonight's event. This dedication is where we'll dedicate some candles in memory of those no longer with us. If you didn't have a chance to share your loved one's name in advance of this evening, please use the box alongside the screen. We'll then make sure these names and any added by those registered in the last couple of days will be added to the recording. So many thanks for giving us your time this evening. It's now my pleasure to introduce our first musical performance from the Co-op band this evening. Here they are performing "O Come All Ye Faithful." Thank you to all the members of the Co-op band for that beautiful rendition of "O Come All Ye Faithful." What a wonderful performance to start off the night. Now I'm very pleased to introduce Charlie Green, Deputy Head of Education and Training from Suffolk Mind. Charlie, would you be able to give us a bit of an introduction into what Suffolk Mind do throughout the region and what your role is there? As I'm sure you must encounter a number of people, much like many members of our audience tonight, who may have experienced a loss and turned to Suffolk Mind in their time of need.
Yeah, thanks, Lynn. So Suffolk Mind essentially is an independent mental health charity, and our mission really is to get people to talk about and take care of their mental health. Now, grief actually isn't a mental health condition. It's not identified in that way. However, I'm sure we all know that grief can be all-consuming, and it certainly can really interrupt our ability to meet our needs and feel like life is doable or even pleasurable, enjoyable. So we'll be working with people in many different ways. It might be they come to us through our counselling services or through our workshops or through our phone support lines or many different ways. But ultimately what we're helping people to do is to understand that you don't get over grief. That's a myth. I think we all understand that we learn to live with it. So how do we help people learn to live with their loss? And that might be through schools, it might be through our work with organisations or individuals or things we do in our community. And my role particularly is around training. So me and my team work really passionately to help people through workshops and courses to learn how to understand what they need and in order to meet those needs better in different ways, including through the grieving process.
Thank you. A great insight into the amazing work of Suffolk Mind. And Sally, you and I work in the same job as funeral coordinators, where we meet families at their time of need. So how would you say at the very beginning of the process that you have seen families remember their loved ones?
I would say families, one of the things is when they're arranging the funeral is, did Mum like that track? Did Dad like that track? What piece of music shall we have? There's a little debate. People then, yes, Mum liked that piece. They then choose the piece. It might be a particular artist, maybe somebody we haven't heard of. We can find it, have the music, and then there's the order of service. The photographs. Or which one shall we choose? We like that one. Can we crop the roses? The photograph on the back. It could be Mum and Dad reunited. Which photographs do we choose? It's the ones for the centre of the order of service, the collage, the black and whites, the grainy photographs, the brothers and the sisters, the aunts, the uncles, the family gatherings, everybody coming together. All those memories are there. And then at the time of the funeral service, everybody there can remember, visually see that person. They've got those shared memories, the photographs, they're a prompt, they're a conversation starter, and that's how people can remember.
So music, photos, things that bring memories back, all those sort of things that mark who a person is to each one of us, then they're the things that start that remembrance process when we meet a family. And then Charlie, you take that process further in the way that you meet with families. Charlie, you must need then to take quite a different approach. How do you support people who are finding it hard to find a meaningful way to remember their loved one?
Yeah, so we're much sort of further down the journey often, but it can be quite early in the process. And people would usually engage with Suffolk Mind around either that personal one-to-one support through counselling. And we would tend to say after 6 months after a loss, that's when you can engage in being able to talk about and process how you're feeling. Earlier than that, we just need to leave that natural path that we travel through grief. It's very personal. It's never the same for two people, and it's the pace that is right for that individual. But what we really find through our fundraising is that people take a lot of support, energy, pleasure in putting meaning into that person's life, and post their death, they would be looking at arranging events. Maybe they're arranging some kind of challenge. And just to give you some examples of, we had a man who was very passionate about football, and his family, after he died, wanted to create a charity football match and raise some money for Suffolk Mind. That was a charity that was important to them because we'd supported this gentleman. And that brought people together. Not only was the event wonderful to come together and remember him and to be part of something, but it gave the family that focus of attention to be giving him meaning, the experience meaning, and keeping him alive in their stories. Rumi once said that, don't remember me in the ground, remember me in the hearts of the people. So how do we come together and keep that person's passions, the stories, those experiences alive? Personally, for me, I lost one of my best friends when I was very young, and she loved waterfalls but had never seen one in real life, big waterfalls. So our group of friends travelled around the UK and other countries finding waterfalls, and we'd photograph them and then send them to each other as a way of remembering her. But it had a moving forward feeling. We had the pain, but we wanted also to remember her of what she loved and connect to her passions. And that process really, really was comforting to all of us.
Thank you. Thank you both for that, sharing your thoughts this evening. It's time for our second performance from the Co-op Band this evening. Here they are with their version of Do You Hear What I Hear? Thank you to the Co-op Band for another lovely performance, and it's a pleasure to listen to their music this evening, isn't it? Now, before we get back to our conversation about Remembrance with Sally and Charlie, we're going to be looking at and thinking about some of those sentimental items that we all have that might help us to remember a loved one. They'll be very different. You'll have those things at home. I've got things in my house that help me remember somebody who I've lost. And so to start off that thought, we're going to listen to Kat from our community team, who's going to share with us a sentimental item that helps her to remember the special relationship she had with her grandma.
Hi, I'm Kat, and this is my grandma's biscuit tin. It has so many happy memories of my grandma travelling on the train to come and see us during school holidays. It is a very Christmassy tin, but in fact this was used almost every day of the year. Whenever there was time for biscuits or cake, out would come the tin. Her favourite thing to make, and the thing I remember most, is her treacle tart, which was just the best. It was so delicious and yummy to have on a very long walk, which she would often do all the way from her home in Dovercourt. And it also carries a lot of special memories of our time spent together. So we'd go to the park, we'd travel on the train on often very rainy days to the beach. And it was just one of those times where we just got to spend time together, to have conversations, to chat about her life, to chat about our lives. And what better way to do it than over a piece of cake or a biscuit with your grandma? And even today, when I'm out with my own children, we take the tin with us. I put something special, a little sweet treat in it, to have when we're out and about. And those are times when I just remember those special times spent with my grandma too.
How lovely to see that an item seemingly so simple can hold so many memories. So Sally, Charlie, do either of you have a sentimental item similar to Kat's that you hold dear? Sally, I'll come to you first.
Thank you, Lynn. I have a keyring. Very simple. It's a car. It doesn't come from the Monopoly board. It came from my dad's mobility scooter. Did he drive it? No. He had it, didn't use it. But here it is. Dad liked to drive, and so every time I go out, the keyring comes with me. It reminds me of the time as a child that I spent with the bonnet up, Dad saying to me, this is the battery, these are the spark plugs. This reminds me of Dad, and he will always be with me.
That's lovely. Charlie, what sentimental item do you have?
I'm wearing mine. So I've got a necklace with a dragonfly on. And when we scattered my friend Joe Bug's ashes, actually a dragonfly flew out seemingly from the middle of it. That's how we experienced it. And so the dragonfly has been very special for me. And I went out quite quickly after her funeral and bought a dragonfly. And what's so lovely is when I wear it, I feel like she's close to me, but lots of people comment on it and they don't know the sentimental meaning, but they'll say, oh, I love your dragonfly. And it really, really warms my heart. And I feel like she's with me. So I lost her quite a few years ago, but to have her with me, I think I move into the gratitude of having known her and having had her love and loving her. And that's really, really with me. And this definitely helps.
That's lovely. Thank you. And I brought an item with me. It goes back quite a few years because this is and it fits in with the season really, because I brought a little nativity set. But this is an item that my mum bought for me years ago when we went on a road trip when I was 18, so only a few years back. And we went on a coach tour to Oberammergau, which some of you may know is a place that holds a passion play every 10 years. And they have craft shops where they do lovely wooden carvings. And this was a carving that she bought for me. So it comes out at this time of year, obviously, and is a particular sentimental memory for me. So that will be placed in my home this Christmas again, as it has been in many previous years. Of course, things that remind you of a loved one can be physical, but they don't have to be physical. It can be as simple as a smell or a piece of music that can remind you of a person, or even a place you like to visit. I remember walking down the street with my uncle, and we used to whistle down the street. And he would tell me that his son always told him off for doing it, but whistle we would. And so whenever I have a little whistle, I think of him. So we've talked about sentimental items. So what are the kind of things that you both, Sally and Charlie, have experienced about other ways that people remember their loved ones?
I think I've heard lots of stories from lots of different people in the work I do. And I think things like knowing someone's favourite flower or plant and having that as something that they tend and love. I'm thinking of a particular family who actually have the ashes in the garden with a beautiful plant on top. And when they gather, they bring that sort of decoration into the middle of that plant and they'll sit around it. And it's like the Nana is still with them. And I know that gives them great comfort. And people are like, oh, hi, Nana. They actually kind of talk to the plant. And sometimes when we're gathering, you'll find them, a person just quietly sat on their own as if they're just having that moment with her. And I think that's a lovely way for people to keep her with them in their memories and stories. Yeah.
That's lovely. Sally, any thoughts about how people remember their loved ones?
We remembered my dad. My dad is very much with me. It was his birthday on Sunday. I lie, it was on Saturday. We as a family went for a walk. We went to see the lights at Sandringham. There were 7 of us. We sat at a table of 8. We missed Dad. But that was his birthday. We remembered him. We went for the walk. We had pizza. We had the hot chocolate. We said, happy birthday, Dad. And he was with us. And we have said every year on his birthday, that is what we're going to do. Something special. Come together as a family and celebrate Dad.
That's lovely. And you can mark a moment as an anniversary, or you can mark a moment in time in the everyday of life. It's a lovely thing to do. I think for my family, it's going to be eating Yorkshire puddings with a Sunday dinner, because my mum did it and I've passed it on to my children and I do it. And that will be something that sparks a memory for all of us down through the generations. Thank you for sharing that. Upholding traditions, like doing a certain activity on the same day each year. There are numerous ways that we all experience memories. It might be things like Remembrance Day in November. Suffolk Remembers is a more localised, organised event by St Elizabeth Hospice. We have personal traditions, therefore, that we encounter. What kind of experience of personal traditions do you have that you've seen with people, or perhaps yourselves, that we've used to mark remembrance?
I think it's really important. There's a transition, isn't there, of we can't do it exactly the same as we did, and we have to do it differently because there's somebody not here. And I certainly see people, putting their attention on how can we shift this and make it new, but bring that person's memory with us. And I certainly see people shifting from the anniversary of someone's passing to maybe celebrating their birthday and remembering more about how they lived than the grief of how they died, and having that experience. And I think there's something around the different foods, the different drinks. Maybe someone likes a certain tipple, and certainly families I've known, they'll, even if they don't like that drink normally, they might have a little sip of it in memory of that person on their special day. But I think that it's really personal, and that's what makes it so special. And it can be really simple. I think it's about what am I doing to bring them into my memory and to share the stories. So next weekend, I'm going over to the family's house of my friend who we sadly lost. And we'll be telling all kinds of memories of what she did. And they're not about remembering her in perfection. It's like all the truth of all of her mischief and how we miss her. And it will be sad, but it will also be joyous because we're coming together to share her. And while she's in the stories, she's still with us.
So traditions are an important part, whether they're old traditions or whether they're new ones that we make ourselves in the today. They are an important part of helping us remember those who are still very much part of our lives. It's true. Sally, did you have anything, any tradition you know of that you'd like to share?
Any tradition? I'm going to have to think about this one. I am sorry. A beach walk.
A beach walk.
A beach walk. Every birthday.
Yeah.
Off to Holcombe. Just after Christmas. Lots of people walking off the Christmas lunch, but remembering the people that were with us. Throwing the fir cones. Getting feet wet. Going for that walk. The dogs, the friends. A family event. That's our memory.
Yeah.
And speaking about the person, bringing them. My grandchildren never met my mum, but they know her. They know her through the way we speak about her. There's a living memory there. and they just know her.
Yeah. I love that phrase, a living memory. It is all about living that remembering of someone, and the traditions that we have help us to do that exactly. And I'm sure you won't be alone in the walk along the beach.
We won't be.
With the areas that we live in. We're certainly blessed with that as a way of marking how someone means so much to us still in our lives today. We now move to the last of our musical performances of the night. Here are the Co-op Band with O Holy Night. Thank you once more to our Co-op Band, a fantastic performance to conclude the musical section of this evening's event. We're now going to move to this evening's dedication. Each of the candles here represents someone important to a member of our audience. In a moment, we'll take a pause to remember those no longer with us. As we do this, we'll play some music and display more of the named dedications we've received from members of our audience. Don't worry if you haven't spotted the name of the person you want to remember on the screen during the event. Just put their name in the box on the side of the screen and we'll ensure they're featured on our event webpage alongside a video of this event. But before we take our moment of reflection, I'd like to read you a poem called A Christmas to Remember. A service to remember, at Christmas time no less, to stop and ponder, relieve a little stress. The trees and baubles glisten as families come and go. The season's hustle, bustle makes me wonder, do they know? Do they know the hurt inside me? Does my face show any pain? Can they sense that I am struggling as the season's here again? Yet, in the dark of winter, when dark and cold can bite, I'm glad the world is still allowed to shed a little light. The warmth of love and friendship can build a brighter day. Spring still will follow winter, the flowers will bloom one day, and the thoughts of loved ones absent are not kept within the past. They're part of our tomorrows, and we hold their memory fast. Thoughts of them surprise us and may make us feel blue, but whether it's with smile or tear, we'll forge a pathway through. We take each moment step by step, find strength we never knew, and maybe growing stronger, we can help another too. I'd like to invite you all now to pause for a moment as we reflect on our memories and remember those we've lost. Thank you all. It's been very moving to see how many dedications we've received. So many people we continue to honour and remember. We've had so many people watching this evening, and we hope being together virtually has brought some comfort and warmth this Christmas. We're now at the end of this evening's event. I would like to offer an enormous thank you to all of you for joining us this evening. I hope it has brought some comfort that remembering your loved one is completely personal to you, and no matter how you choose to do it. Thank you also to all of the members of our co-op band that performed for us tonight, my colleagues Sally Blundell and Charlie Green. You will shortly receive an email asking for your feedback on this service. Please do let us know what you thought, as your feedback will help shape future events. You'll also be given an option to be sent a personalised tree tag in the post as a thank you for attending. Thank you again for sharing your time with us this evening. It has been a pleasure to be with you all, and may I wish you all a very blessed and peaceful Christmas.